So for this video, we'll be doing the world's major world religions, just ranking them based on first criteria is how true they are, I guess, or how close they are to the truth. And then the second criteria is just how good the religion is overall. Like, some religions are more promising than others, even among the false religions. Alright, so joining me for this video will be Blue from the End Times Approach channel, and our other friend Sozin also. So I guess starting off straight away is the Jain religion. I was thinking ranking this at D tier because it has some positives, I suppose, but they're not great positives. Like they have some contributions in art, like temples, but their theology is some of their core beliefs are a little bit dodgy. Like, pretty sure, like, in some sects it's believed that women can't like reach enlightenment or something like that. So I'd rank it at D tier.
Alright, so for Scientology, I would definitely rate it F game! F game! F game!
F game.
F game.
F game!
Why?
F game. Well, the major reason is that, I mean, first off, right, its owner, like its founder, right,
Yeah.
was literally, I think he was creating the religion as a joke, because he was literally like, one of his quotes literally said, the fastest way to make money is to start your own religion.
Damn.
And I'm just saying, right, if I'm a follower of that religion and I see that, right, and that quote is clear as day. Clearly, it's a false religion. Not only that, though, Scientology has a history of like brainwashing its members,
Right.
and also forcing like billion-year contracts.
Oh, I heard about that. I'm gonna put that up on the
Yeah.
screen. Scientology's
Yeah.
Sea Org members are expected to sign a symbolic billion-year contract as a commitment to the organization's mission.
Billion year.
1 billion years? That's a lot of years, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah,
Like,
it is a
Scientology
lot
has
of
to
years.
be F
No,
game.
it's just a cash grab for like the leader, bro. Like,
It is.
that's all it is.
Dude, imagine if
Like-
any other religious figure ever said that. Imagine if Jesus had said, the fastest way to make money is to grow a religion. Like, you know what I mean? Or Muhammad.
And the way
or
they get
somebody.
you is so suspicious, bro. They give you like I heard that they give you like a free IQ test or something, and then like they're like, oh, this is how you can improve, and then they like try to sell you their book, bro.
That's diabolical. I just don't see the benefits. Apparently, allegedly, once you do join, you are required to cut contact from family members, or in some cases it can be required to cut contact from family members. And so, I don't know, it seems very much like it's not really anything more than a cult.
Right.
And a very harmful one, in some cases. So, and the name doesn't make sense. It has nothing to do with science. But anyway, Blue, this would be you from End Times Approach channel.
Atheism,
Yeah.
man, atheism's a tough one because it's not really a religion; it's just a belief, right?
Yeah.
I would probably put it at the top of D tier.
Really?
Just given, yeah, no. The way I see it is, like, there's good religions and there's bad religions, and the way I see atheists, like, I don't think they have necessarily any malintent or nothing. Like, they don't really have any particular beliefs, right? Their entire belief system is do not believe in religion or God, right?
But that's
So-
still a belief system, isn't it? Because
Yeah,
like when you define a religion, right? It doesn't.
Yeah.
It doesn't. And if you remember from like our Western religions course, it doesn't always pertain to a belief in the divine.
yeah.
So
it's true,
since
but
atheism has
I'm talking about like their moral code. Like, in a fully atheist world, like, you're gonna live like it's GTA, right? But like, thankfully, we're not in a fully atheistic world, right?
Right.
So I don't think they've caused enough harm to be put into like F game, because it's not a cult or anything. It's just the lack of belief. So that's why I'm putting it in D tier,
But
top of D.
But to be fair though, right? I would have a little bit of pushback on that, because I would say, well, it's true that like as far as like the impact and effect, like atheism, I don't think has technically been, like incredibly like violent or something as like a framework of understanding the world or something. But
Yeah.
I do think that the implications of it make it a sort of F game, an F tier religion, just because, like, think about it. If atheism is true, you know what I mean? Atheism has to have the very worst, like, moral teachings. It has to have, like, by default, because there is no objective morality. So that has, like, I don't think atheists are the most immoral. I don't think that's true. Like, a lot of people that I know that are very moral are atheists.
Yeah.
But, like, if atheism is true, right? That's how you have to consider the religion. If it is true, it has the worst possible implications for morality, because it means morality doesn't even exist.
Okay, I get that point.
Because if you can criticize, like, let's say a violent religion, right? Let's say religions that are, like, you know, that practice child sacrifice or something, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, we can objectively be like, okay, those are horrible religions because of the evil that they do. But in atheism, if atheism is true, those religions shouldn't even be condemned. And so atheism by default has the worst morality.
Yeah, now that makes sense.
I don't know. I just have a hard time having atheism in the same tier as, like, Scientology.
Oh, you're right.
And Satanism. And Satanism.
Yeah. Satanism's under F game, bro. That thing is going to. It's just, I guess, the people, right? Like,
Yeah.
given that our society, like, sure, our society is probably secular, but it started off as a Christian society, right?
Right.
So given that, I'm giving atheists the benefit of the doubt because the laws are already there, right? Like, however, in a fully atheistic world, bro, like, atheism would be the worst religion of probably not the worst religion, worst moral code by far, because
Right.
Because
you
it
can
has
get
no
away
code.
with anything.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you're
you can
right.
get away with anything, but I don't think it's as bad as, like,
Yeah.
stuff over here are straight up evil, bro. Like,
I
Like,
actually agree.
Scientology $1 billion contract. Satanism literally like
We can
Satanism
put
is
it-
literally evil, bro.
yeah, like I'm fine with putting it in the bottom of D tier too. Like,
Okay.
I just
Yeah,
don't think
bottom
it's.
of-
I don't think it's F game material.
Okay.
Yeah, bottom of D for me. Yeah. Pause.
Yeah, okay. I actually agree. Now that I see the light, I was really about to
Yeah.
put atheism in the same tier as Scientology. Scientology is worse.
Scientology?
Yeah, you
Yeah,
guys are
no,
right, to be
definitely.
honest.
Yeah.
Well, take it away, Blue from End Times Approach YouTube channel.
Judaism.
Yeah.
If we're talking about modern day Judaism, I think it might have to be B tier. I feel like ever since the rise of Christianity, they've just gone astray from, like, their actual ritual practices. Not to say that, like, Judaism was always bad. I'm just saying, like, now it feels like the way they do their worship and everything is kind of suspicious. Probably put it at B.
I don't know. Like, clearly heavy fall off back in its OG days with Moses.
Back in
and
its
Abraham.
OG, it would be
yeah.
up there in the truth.
be up
It would be
there
up there in the truth.
I
But
mean,
then,
yeah.
like,
But modern day
They reject-
Judaism, and I think we did research on it, Mr. Blue. Modern day Judaism is very funky. You don't even
That's
have
what
to
I'm
be.
saying.
You don't even have to be a theist to be a practicing Judaism nowadays. I would put it at C tier. Like, I don't
Really?
think. Yeah, I don't think it's. I don't see it as too much different from Shinto and these others.
Also, just to add another note, right?
Yeah.
When I was doing my extensive research, you could call it.
Yeah, foremost.
I basically found that basically the deadline for the Jewish Messiah was the year 2240, basically, in the Gregorian calendar. And
Right.
that aligns with 6,000 years after creation, according to the Jews. So they're basically gambling with their entire faith. Because if the Messiah doesn't appear in 200 years, then Jewish people are basically going to have to accept that either their religion is false or a Messiah has come before, right?
Mm.
So that's just another point, I wanted to add.
Okay, you know what? I'll concede. I think it might actually be B tier when you think about it, because I mean, even though there's a lot of like funky stuff going on as far as like beliefs, because they're all over the place in modern day Judaism. There's still some people, or not just some, but there's still a decent amount of people who still do adhere to the Jewish scriptures, right, and the Torah.
Yeah, right.
So I think just out of credit to them, even though they're mistaken about the Messiah, they're completely mistaken. they still at least do have those scriptures. Agnosticism. Now, here's the thing with the agnosticism. It definitely is easily eclipses like atheism, right? Because atheism leaves you with no options. You're just cooked, right? Like, if atheism is true, you're just cooked. If you're an agnostic, like, you do have hope because any religion could possibly be true under the agnostic worldview, right?
Yeah.
And so, agnosticism, it leaves you in this strange place because I think every person should be, not necessarily agnostic, but every person should start out agnostic at least. With agnosticism, in a perfect world, it would just be someone who's wondering or seeking the truth, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not gonna lie, like, I've met a lot of agnostics, and I've had one agnostic, a friend of mine, who told me straight up, in viewing the evidence for the resurrection of Jesus, he said, yeah, I think he probably rose from the dead. But he's like, but I don't really want to change my life like that drastically. I feel like it would change everything, and I don't really want to embrace that. And so I've seen some forms of agnosticism, which is I just don't really want to believe, even though I know that it's probably true. And so it's kind of double-edged. So I would put agnosticism at C tier, because you don't quite have a god, but you also don't quite not have a god. I'd put it at the top of C tier. So Jehovah's Witness, right? Now, they'd be identified technically, right? If you Googled it, probably, I think they would be identified as like a Christian group, right?
Yeah.
But I fear, if we're being fair, I have to put it at C tier. But
Yeah.
Jehovah's Witness is by far the worst one out of these, I think. Or not necessarily, but the reason why is, and I guess this is an argument from a Christian perspective. The reason why is that it completely distorts the gospel. It teaches a lot of false theology. For example, it teaches that Jesus was the archangel Michael, for one, right? And the problem with like taking away Jesus' divinity, right, is that he could not have risen himself from the dead, which he said he would in the Gospels, right? When he told the Pharisees, when he says, "Destroy this temple in 40 days, and I will build it up," and then the Gospel itself, it says Jesus was talking about his body. He wasn't talking about the physical temple, right? And so when you remove Jesus' divinity, you basically, like, a Christ that isn't divine is not a Christ at all, right? More than theology, I guess that's where my problem comes with Jehovah's Witnesses, is a straight up cult in a lot of ways. And I guess I'll put up some things on the screen, but I know there's some rules about like blood donation, I'm pretty sure, and other things like that. And I don't think it's a very positive religion, just like as far as the religions go. So what about you, Blue, from End Times Approach channel?
Yeah, I would agree with that. I do think it's better than atheism because at least
you have something.
At least you have something, but like the way they do things is kind of sketchy.
Even something like blood transfusions, right? As a Jehovah's Witness, you cannot have a blood transfusion to save anyone's life because it's banned. In the
Okay, yeah. No, that falls into the sketchy bit.
It's pretty diabolical. Anyway.
So I guess I'm up next.
Yep, the world's foremost expert in Norse mythology.
Right.
Mhm.
So I mean, if I was to rank Norse, I mean, I would definitely rank it D tier. And an explanation for that is just to give you a picture of where followers of the Norse religion end up after death, right?
Right.
So if you are a warrior and you die during battle, you were basically sent to Valhalla, right? And obviously this is like a heaven type of environment, so I mean that's fine. But if you were not a warrior, and if you just like died of old age, illness, or anything non-battle related,
right?
Like if you lived a perfectly good and moral life, basically according to Norse standards, you were basically sent to hell, or they called it Helheim. And it's not really a place of punishment like the actual hell, but it's basically like they describe it as like souls exist in a shadowy form, and it's a quiet environment. So I mean, it just seems like a terrible fate because they're there for eternity.
Yeah,
essentially.
Yikes.
And also another point is that, if the religion encourages basically warriors, right? And all throughout the centuries after they were formed, they would basically go on raids throughout all the villages in Europe, and they would basically
Village.
they would like kidnap women and children. They would set fire to buildings, obviously because they believed that they were going to Valhalla after they died because they were doing these things. So because of that, because it's literally a religion that strives off of violence, then I would definitely place it on Egypt.
Yeah, it's pretty darn close to F game, to be honest. Especially like in its infancy, like the Norse religion was just very violent because again there was the emphasis on the warrior life, right? But the warrior life, it's not something like in let's say like in the Japanese cultures, in some Japanese cultures, right, where the warrior life is like, like about like the values of a warrior, right, like loyalty, strength, and all those things. It's more so like, just like being unafraid to die and fighting really hard no matter what, right? And also even like the Valhalla, the heaven itself, it's gotta be one of the worst quote unquote heavens.
Oh,
because
it's terrible.
You just you wake up, you feast, and then you fight, and then you get killed, and you wake up the next morning, you feast, and then you fight, and so it's like you can continuously just in a cycle of violence.
Yeah.
So I think it's a pretty horrid religion. I'm not gonna lie.
Yep. I play the God of War games, man. I'm telling you right now.
Foremost expert.
Helheim.
Yeah,
I'm a foremost expert, right?
Right.
I'm telling you right now, man. Helheim was one of the worst places I've played in that game, man. It was actually so tragic.
Yeah.
And it might not be a place of punishment, but it's cold as hell over there, bro. I wouldn't want to be there. I don't think any of us will want to be there after dying, bro. That's tragic.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I'm just gonna hit it with the F game, dog. If I'm being honest with you. On top of
Just
that,
to reiterate, right?
yeah.
Just to reiterate, again, if you were a perfectly moral person in the Norse religion, but you were not a warrior, you were sent to Helheim. A perfectly moral person.
Is it better than Scientology?
Just to note, I think it is better than Scientology because, okay, also look at it from this perspective, right? A warrior who died, a regular person in the Norse religion who died 1,000 years ago, right?
Yeah.
It's been 1,000 years since they died. 1,000 years.
Right.
A person in Scientology has a billion-year contract. I just hope you guys know that. I just hope you guys know that. So, because of that, I think Norse is above F game, but they are still both F game.
I think Norse is worse. I think it's worse than
Seriously?
Scientology. Yeah, I think it is.
What do you think, Ender?
Under Scientology? I think it's under Scientology. If we were to have a society that was just based off Norse, the Norse religion,
okay.
it would go out so sad, so fast.
I get where you're coming. Okay, yeah, it's below.
Now we got
who is it?
Rastafarianism.
Who's next?
It's me, bro. It's me.
World's foremost expert in Rastafarianism. Take it away.
Well, given what I've learned about Rastafarian, I think I'd put
you do extensive research?
Oh, of course, I'm a foremost expert, bro. I saw a 14-minute video explaining it.
World's foremost expert, yeah, of course.
Yeah. I think I'd put it at C tier. It tries to fight against inequalities and stuff like that. And from what I've known, it's it took stuff from Christianity, but then they're Messiah is some random king or something.
Some emperor,
yeah, some emperor king. I don't think it was I don't think living in a Rastafarian society would be generally bad. However, given some ritual practices, given that they use weed and stuff like that, actually nah, man, it might have to go down to D, bruh. Just given that I don't think weed is something you should take, as a Christian. But I don't think I've seen other than that, I can't really think of another negative that I saw from the video. But
I mean, you mean in your extensive research? Right?
Yeah, in my extensive research as a foremost expert of the field.
Right.
Yeah, I would like to add, as a world's foremost expert on Rastafarianism, they also just got exposed. But a prophecy was made by a pretty important figure in Rastafarianism, and he said, Black Emperor, will rise, and when he does, that's gonna be the second coming of Christ. And then that Black Emperor arose, but then he got hit with a coup d'état, and they imprisoned him and he got killed. And so just massive aura loss, because the religion also just like fell apart pretty much from there. Lost a lot of its members, because how do you reconcile that? But the religion, got proven to be false. Even Bob Marley converted on his deathbed to let it go. May his soul rest in peace. Yeah,
man, he carried on us.
He did. He's the one that made it really popular.
Alright, what's the next one?
I think this is like occultism or something. Alright, look. At the end of the day, occultism, it's pretty F game. It's better than atheism, I suppose, but no, it's not. Because the thing with occultism is a lot of the ritual practices, especially like in its infancy, like will be fairly either dangerous or just very immoral. Like occultism is one that's like one of the most likely practices that would involve like child sacrifice or something, right? And so I think it's I put it at F game. It's worse than Scientology probably, because the way I view it, like unless it's like some like bootleg occultism, right? Some like 14-year-old who thinks they're doing like enchantments through like the Ouija board or something, but like actual occultism is pretty sketchy stuff and doesn't have any real upside.
You said child sacrifice? Yeah, definitely F game, bro.
Like it's, you know what I mean, it's cooked. I feel like atheists are probably better off than people who are practicing occultism. So
yeah,
because on top of that, you're tapping into like evil spirits and evil things, and no good can come out of that. So it's pretty F game. It's probably worse than the Norse, to be honest. But yeah, that's where I would rank it. Anybody trying to fight for occultism, huh?
Yeah, bro, me.
So Mormonism. So here's the thing about Mormonism, right? They are really up there as far as like charity. Societally, I think they're of huge benefit because, again, like they're one of the world leaders in charity, right alongside Catholicism and Christianity in general. And if you look, whenever you look at Mormon families, they're pretty well put together. Even if you think like, oh, it's kind of like even if someone's like a pessimistic, they're like, well, they're just kind of faking it or whatever, putting up fake smiles. Whatever you want to say about it, like a society that was like fully Mormon would probably like look pretty decent. It would look nothing like the violent like Norse. But with that said, Mormonism has had a lot of accusations, a lot of cult stuff going on, a lot of brainwashing going on as well. Their theology is not good at all because their God it's not the true God of the Bible, even though they claim that it is. The God of Mormonism basically is, and I forgot what his name was. I think it was Jacob something. He's a really, really talented Mormon apologist. Like he's a fantastic like debater, really, really good at debating. Which is the reason why he does really good in his debates. But even in his own admission, basically he thinks that the God of Mormonism does a better job at answering the problem of evil just because he's not actually omnipotent, like truly omnipotent. So he kind of just tries his best, right? But when you think about it, like that is pretty sad and tragic. Like you have a God who's doing nothing about evil because he just can't really do much, and so that in of it itself is like very discouraging. You know what I mean? Like why would you pray to such a God? He can't really help you, because if he could, he would. Like apparently, right? There's no great reasons or great mysteries hidden behind us. It's just that he can't do anything, right? Alongside that, obviously blasphemes Christian theology, says Jesus is the brother of Satan, teaches that there is no one true God. It's one God who was a man to begin with, but then he became a God, and you too can also become a God and have your own planets. And even a Joseph Smith and his history, his miracle with the gold plates is not impressive whatsoever, because with the right material I can make gold plates in my garage. No, seriously. And Joseph Smith, the way that he died, he didn't die a noble death of a martyr, right? He just kind of got shot being involved in a bad situation, and so he doesn't seem like a martyr whatsoever. And his history, his personal history as well. I think there's writings about his mother talking about how as a kid he would be telling very fictional stories. So it seems obvious to me that if you really look into Mormonism, you can find out pretty easily that it's false. But its social
Also,
benefits are very good, I suppose.
just to add on to that, right?
Yeah.
You know, I feel like Mormons have like a lax definition of God in a sense.
Right.
Like if they define that, you know, oh, God was originally a man, and then like a man suddenly became God, right? And if they're also defining it as, you know, God not really being able to do anything,
Right.
is that really a God?
Right.
Or is that like a super powerful human?
Mhm.
You know, I think because if you were a god, right? And I feel like all of these different religions have like a lax understanding of what a god means. A god means like you could literally do anything.
Right.
Anything. You know, you aren't bound by any restriction,
Mhm.
right? And so for any Mormons like that are potentially watching this video, are you really, you know, following like a god, or like
I think that's actually a really great point, because when you think about it, the God of Mormonism is probably closer to like an X-Man or something. Like he's closer to Wolverine
X-Men.
than he is to like, you know, an actual like omnipotent God. You know what I mean?
yeah,
And so
yeah.
it's not much different if like there was like a meta human, the Flash or somebody, and you started worshiping him, right? And so it's
Yeah.
like, I think that's a great question, really, when you think about it. Like, are you really worshiping God, right? And so that lax understanding of God, very, very limited, and has like a lot of problems with it. Like, for example, right, you can just ask, well, if Yahweh, the God of the Bible, is only one of millions of gods, right? You'll just ask, well, who created them? And if you say, well, more gods created them, then you're just gonna continue in an infinite loop, because all you're doing is pushing the question back, you know, by just one step. So like that's the problem with those kind of like religions, is because they're sort of self-defeating. If you don't have a one true God, you basically have nothing at all, right? Because anything else is just a very powerful human or something along those lines, right?
Yep.
And so Mormonism, great social benefits, but really horrible theology. I would still put it at B tier. I would put it at the top of B tier, I fear. I don't necessarily want to put it there, but considering its social benefits, like, I feel like a society based on Mormonism is better than a society based on anything else under here.
Yep, I agree.
I agree.
Now, is it me? Agree?
Yep, world's
Yep.
foremost expert on
Oh,
theology.
okay. Just given Greek and the mythologies, I'm gonna put it F game. For starters, throughout the entire Greek like mythology history, like from the time of Uranus and Gaia, which is like mother god in Greek mythology, when they have a kid, they get like Kronos, and then Kronos overthrows his father. Fast forward, Zeus pulls up and overthrows his dad, which has been eating all his siblings. That's pretty crazy, like, in of itself, right? So you don't get any like moral values from that. Like, a dad who eats his kids, what? Like, some could argue like, oh, these are like reasons to not follow God, but like, then why worship these gods, right?
Right.
And then later on, like we all know about Zeus, man. He been getting down and dirty with everybody, bro. Like,
Yeah.
you know,
everything.
name them all. With everything, bro. Sheep, everything. If you're like, it's interesting. It's really interesting. But I don't think you learn anything from these particular gods. You can learn a lot from their stories. But yeah, no, it's not something you should. There's no god in Greek mythology that you should worship. That's what I believe.
But wait a second though. Are we really like placing it like below?
Oh no! I don't think it's at the bottom of F game. I think it's above Norse. But like, if you actually worship these gods, like, man, you kind of cooked. Like, I also forgot to mention, like, you could pray to like a god in Greek mythology to be against a person, and then that person could have another god and like pray for that god to be against you. Is like diabolical, bro. That's why they had like a lot of divides in Greek, like Athens and Sparta, bro. They did not mess with each other.